Hey guys, subscribe for daily content, and if you're shopping for gear, make sure you check out the description for the newest items at some of the very best online retailers. There's also links for some of the items that I personally recommend. Thanks!
What's going on YouTube? Metal Complex here, and today I've got it's not a review, it's just a sort of return to because they have updated the knife sort of video. This is the Arcane Designs Necronaut V2. It's been upgraded a couple of different things, and then they've also added a stud here, and that's cool. I always appreciated this knife originally for its incredibly unique aesthetic. There is definitely nothing else on on the market that looks exactly like this. This is very cool. I will link the Arcane Designs website right down below so you can learn more about the Necronaut V2. At the time of this recording, which by the time you guys are watching it, it's weeks in the future, but at the time I recorded it, this is not available yet, but there's information on their website about it, so you can go check it out if you want to. Thank you so much to Arcane Designs for sending this in for me to take a look at. This will go back to them. I don't get to keep it. Thank you so much to my generous patrons who are supporting me right now. There's a link for Patreon right down below, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. Do some quick measurements just for people who didn't catch the original review. But if you want to go check out the original review with the size comparisons and my whole thing that I usually do, I'll invite you to go check out that video because I'm not going to do it here today. Overall length is coming in at about 8 inches. The blade length is coming in at maybe 3.6 inches, and the cutting edge is coming in at about 3.3 inches, given that sharpening choil right there. We'll do a couple of size comparisons. How about we put it up against the Ontario Rat 1 and the Spyderco Para 3. I think that'll give people a good idea of roughly what size of knife this is. We are looking at milled out titanium. There is decent milling on at least one side. Let's see if I can get in there and take a look. Can we see in there? Yeah, there's some pockets in there that have been milled out, right? Still a decently heavy knife. Not anything I'm going to shy away from, but I mean, there definitely are people who are not going to carry this for weight or dimensions, right? Weighs 4.94 ounces. Not terrible, but people who are heavy on ratios will tell you that they don't want to deal with that, which is fine. I don't really care too much about ratios. It's more about the object itself and how much it weighs. Blade stock thickness coming in at 150, probably 155 thousandths, right? So that's typical ZT or Rick Hinderer-esque blade stock thickness. These are made by Bestech, and this is information that he openly shares with people. The early prototypes that I handled were made by Riat, and he switched to Bestech. And so if you guys are wondering, you know, who makes these? Yeah, number one, they are made overseas. Number two, they are made by Bestech. This one, I don't know if they just like polished it more or what. Here's the thing. I used to kind of have Riat up here and Bestech kind of down here, and we kind of in line with Bestech. But after seeing what they were capable of doing with, for example, the Vero Synapse and especially the Synapse XL, alongside a number of other examples, I've kind of come to realize that Bestech's manufacturing capabilities have clearly climbed up the ladder of premium. They feel a lot better. Absolutely. Are they exactly the same as Riat? I don't really know. I mean, we'll know as they continue to do more projects exactly what they're capable of doing. Anyways, how it translated into this guy was beautiful. The action is very, very smooth. Oh, it's nice and consistent. I like that a lot. The flipper tab is fine. I thought maybe he had altered the flipper tab on this one versus the last one. He said, no, I didn't. I just added the thumb stud. And the thumb stud is the same shape as the logo, right, the gem, right? So it's kind of neat. You get your thumb at the right angle, and it's very easy to flick. It's especially easy to do the reverse flick. Now, I will tell you guys, the thumb stud is definitely in the cutting path, so that's something that is just kind of a trade-off deal. I don't really like that, but at the same time, I like the option to do the reverse flick, right? Which would I prefer more? I don't really know. You know, cutting straight down with this guy, you're definitely going to run into whatever it is you're cutting is going to run into that stud. You're cutting more at an angle like this, maybe not, right? It just depends on what you're doing and what you prioritize. But the combination of flipper tab and thumb stud does work. It's just factually it's in the cutting path, which is something that's going to bother some people. The corners and the pokiness of the original design are all but completely gone. He really had these knocked down. All the edges inside here, these corners up here, these corners back here. This used to be like you could cut a roast off the back of this knife. No, it's nice and knocked down now. Now, this is still a very polarizing design, right? This isn't the type of design that was intended to be like, this is meant to please everyone aesthetically. No, it's going to look amazing to some people and not to others, right? And ergonomically, while it feels good, it's just the look of the handle is going to be appealing to some people and not to others. But the main thing is where, there needed to be some changes to the knife, with the pocket clip and the sharpness, right? They occurred. So whether or not you like the way it looks is one thing, but in my opinion, it's a fantastic upgrade ergonomically and feels much, much better. Much better than the original, and that's great. Disengaging and the lock and flipping the knife, you can do it, I'd say, before my fingers get tired of any surface, probably 10 times more than the original. And the original was cool, that's what I was drawn to. It's mainly the blade. The blade is obviously, the red is striking with the black, right? But the blade is this very aggressive tanto that's really cool. And, there's going to be some situations where having two very long separate edges is going to be beneficial and utilitarian. And for other people, it's not going to serve any purpose whatsoever, right? It's just going to be an extra edge to sharpen. It is pretty darn thick behind the edge. Definitely, right? I don't think there's anybody's trying to hide that. That's just kind of the nature of the blade here. We've got a pretty prominent flat. Carries out, 65-70% the length of the blade, probably 65%. Then we've got flat ground down to a pretty thick edge. But those edges are nicely sharpened, and the blade steel is M390, which does it say? Yeah, there it is right there. M390. You gotta find it because it gets hidden right there, right? So M390. Then we're looking at titanium, and we're looking at aluminum for these sort of decorative pivot collar shield things. Why not titanium and make it red? Because you can't anodize titanium red. Or if you can, it's incredibly difficult. So difficult that nobody's going to take their time to do it. So I believe those are aluminum plates. And that's fine. Some people might prefer it without it, but I kind of like the red and black contrast. We don't really see that as much. The jimping's fine. It feels maybe a little bit more knocked down. I think everything on this knife is so knocked down from the original, except for this area right here. This is still kind of sharp. No big deal. It's going to be a bother if you put your fingers up there, right? But, cutting, it's not really going to affect anything. Everything is so nicely knocked down that I'm not sure what has or has not been updated. There is still, of course, a steel lock bar insert that is, I don't know if it needs to double as the over travel stop because this sort of cover plate right here does that as well. You still have large size fasteners, couple of screws back here holding in the backspacer. Pretty straightforward, clean aesthetic, right? A very aggressively geometric aesthetic, which is, if you don't knock corners down, can be a problem. But everything's very clean. As far as this design was meant to be, this is great. You're just going to be left with, do you like how it looks? If no, then, go buy something else. That's the right answer there. If you do like it, great. You might not like the thumb studs or their placement, but they're there, right? So it's going to be one of those things where you like it or you don't, right? It just is what it is. Now, this was an expensive knife originally. I'm going to throw some other knives out here. Tell you guys I don't know what this is going to be priced at. I have what I think it should be priced at, right? Hinder Eclipse. Looking at titanium and micarta. Not full titanium, but definitely a titanium lock side, a titanium liner, and a piece of micarta. Originally it was G10. What do these run? $425, and they're made in the United States. We have the Chavez 229. Full titanium and M390 made by Riot. The plainest versions come in at $350. We have the Sharp by Design Evo Typhoon. This one's Damasteel, titanium, and carbon fiber, and originally came in at $515, but the standard versions of these knives, M390 titanium and carbon fiber, came in at something like $350 to $375. There's no reason that the Arcane Designs Necronaut shouldn't be right around the same ballpark. I can't remember exactly, but I want to say the original ones were a bit high. Now, we are no longer in a time where I can say, well, it's Bestex, so it shouldn't be priced so high. Bestex's been obviously pushing the limit when it comes to quality, and if somebody told me this was a Riot, guys, I'm dead serious. I can't tell the difference between this and my 229 in terms of quality. In fact, everything's, it's at the request of the designer, but this is more knocked down than this guy. This guy feels a little bit more clunky. And this is Riot, right? But it's the design, right? That's Ramon Chavez was like, just leave it sharp, Can't tell the difference quality-wise. Now, but is this better? No. It's really good. I don't know if I want to see this thing being, over $400. I think $350 is fair for what we're looking at here. Some people are going to say, no, it shouldn't be more than $200. No, it shouldn't be more than, $314. He's got his margins to consider. While Riot might be able to pump these out at whatever quantity he could request, he does have to pay for this stuff and order what he can pay for, right? And then has to profit enough to keep his company going. So, in some ways, it's not really fair for me to compare it to, something like this or something like this. Maybe Brian Ado and Ramon Chavez can afford to buy a whole bunch more, right? So they don't have to be as expensive, and they can make even more money off of them, opening up room for more projects. So it is something that they have to consider. This is still a small company. He's trying to be fair. He's trying to make a reasonable amount of money. I think $350 is what I'm seeing here that is reasonable. And this is super cool. Here's the thing, guys. Polarizing design, but there's nothing else on the market that looks like this, right? That's the draw here. You may not like it, but there are definitely going to be people who like it. I like it simply because it's different looking. I just like stuff like that. There's attention drawn to it. I love that the quality's there, and I love now especially that the corners are all knocked down. If you love this design, right, but here's the thing. I'm saying that this should be about $350, but if you love this design, it's likely that you really like it. So let's say it comes out and it's $400 or $425. That amount of money probably won't make a difference to you. The only people who are going to be considering that, right, are people who already love it. I've talked with the designer, and I tell him, it's just a freaking crazy looking design, right? People are going to talk about it for the same reason that they talk about the Chavez clip. You always have people, I hate the Chavez clip. I hate the Chavez clip. I'm going to yell it from the top of a mountain. I hate the Chavez clip. And then you get a whole bunch of people going, the Chavez clip? What's the Chavez clip? Who? What? Ramon Chavez. Who's that? He makes knives? What kind of knives? Oh, I see. Oh, I kind of like that. Suddenly I don't really care about that Jack Hole yelling about the skull clip from atop a mountain, right? People talk about it. It draws attention to it. So, I don't know why I just said all that. Of course, you guys know that's how that works. I think this is neat. I hope it's not over $400, but I'm really impressed with how, number one, I'm really impressed with Bestech's ability to manufacture this. I mean, it's really nice. Very smooth. I can't emphasize enough. Seriously, the smoothness. Like, this is a knife that I would not add nano oil to. I've been doing that to everything. Very smooth. Thumb studs are neat. I think I like it for the fidget factor. It bothers me a little bit that they're in the cutting path, but not that much. Keep your eye on this. If you like how this looks, go to the website, sign up for email notifications, and even if you don't like this, I can almost guarantee we're going to see some more interesting stuff from Arcane Design in the future. I think that's it for the overview. I don't know that there's a whole lot more I need to say. Thank you so much, again, Arcane Designs, for sending this in for me to take a look at. Please make sure to follow them on Instagram, and please make sure to follow me on Instagram at metal_complex. If you enjoyed this video, leave a like. If you'd like to check out my other content, I do, of course, have lots of videos of knives that are either expensive or inexpensive that I do or don't like, so check those out. And if you enjoy all my content, go ahead and subscribe because there's definitely more coming. Thanks again for watching, everybody, and have a great day.